UFT model-based data-driven testing. So let's take a look at the process. So to start with, we have an application. We've created some UFT scripts, we've parameterized it up, and we have a data sheet. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ingest that, and we're going to register that to Test Modeler, which gives us our starting point. We're then going to build a model of the data that we're going to require to drive the UFT script, and we'll get into some of the features of Modeler when we show you that. We're then going to link the model to data, and this is the important bit. So we can look up data in the back-end databases, we can use VIP to make API calls, REST calls, look at Salesforce, whatever it takes. So in other words, we can find and make any data you need. We can also create any virtual endpoints that you want. So now we've done that, the next thing we're going to do is actually start creating the data sheet, and you would do this typically in batch just before you run your automation. And what will happen is we will look at the test cases that we've created out of VIP, and then we will create a data-driven sheet of data with matching data. That then runs in against the application, and then that will run against the system under test, and it will refer to the data in the back-end databases or the virtual databases to ensure you have a nice solid test. So this is an example of the model, and what you'll see over here is that we have data found for the model, and what we've done is we have a data catalog, and for the example I'm going to show you, you've got get opportunity unique lead, and we need to attach that so for each test case we're going to have a unique person associated with them so we can find each data later. And then what will happen is you will see once the data allocation has run that for the particular test case, in this case we've allocated Miss Danica Stanton to the test data. So now let's have a look at the demo. So this is the screen that we're going to be testing using UFT. It's the create opportunity screen. Although it looks like a fairly straightforward data entry screen, there's actually quite a bit of subtlety to it to do with the types, the lead sources. We're going to assign a unique lead name so we can validate the results afterwards. And like most screens, there's a little bit of complexity that we need to worry about when building our model. Now this is the data table that we're going to be running in, and this maps with the UFT script that we've created. So we're actually going to run this once just at the beginning, just with a couple of dummy rows, and it's UFT is really good at this. Basically you do a recording, you pick off the columns you want to turn into a data table, and bingo, you've got yourself a nice data-driven test. So we're just going to run this. And you can see the values that are coming in from the data table being put in, and then the submit button being submitted. I've put a couple of weights in here so you can see what's happening. And there we have it, it's finished. So now we're going to switch into Modeler, and what we've done is we've modeled the data that we need to drive into the screen. So we're interested in different opportunity types, whether it's an admin user, that's actually important, the different sales stages, and the different lead sources. So here I've actually explicitly drawn them out. Later on we can look them up in a database. We've played around with the amounts as well because that's important. Now what we're doing here is we're actually doing a little publish to a UFT Excel spreadsheet, and what we've done is created a little VIP publish automatically, and that contains all the columns that we care about that we're going to be pushing into that spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet is the thing that's going to be driving our new set of tests. Now what we've also done is we've also got something in here which is look up unique leads. Now inside Test Modeler what we have is the concept of a data catalog. Now a catalog, here we have UAT test data catalog, is basically a list of the finds and makes that you need to do as part of your testing. This could be normal testing or data-driven testing or whatever. And what I'm looking for here is one called get opportunity unique lead, and we are literally going to go off and look at the lead table and look for a specific person within there. We're looking for a distinct person. So unique, but you can basically create any type of lookup, and the advantage of this is a central catalog where testers and developers can just attach them in. So if you change a core piece of SQL, it just has to be changed in one location. So all we had to do was come in here and just basically say edit, and here we've basically allocated a variable called lead name, which we're going to look up from our piece of SQL. Now let's go and start thinking about the coverage techniques. So we're going to go to test generation, and what you'll see here is we've created various different profiles. Now I'm not going to go into all the different types of ways of setting up the profiles, but basically in effect we're looking for different combinations of data dependent on the profile that we're trying to test at the moment. So here we're looking at max value propositions, max small range. Let's have a look at another one of the other ones, maybe max wide range, like so. Now if we look here, we've created different levels of coverage. This is a high level of coverage. So the one I'm going to demo is, let's just do max value small range, which has got a medium level of coverage. Now what we're going to do now is we're just going to submit this, and what will happen is when we submit this, we are going to hunt for a unique lead name, and we're going to find the appropriate, each one of these here is a different combination of data. So as we publish this, we're going to create different sets of combinations of data and allocate them to a specific lead name. So let's do that now. Now if we click on submit, we're going to find the server we want to run this on, and we're going to do VIP executor, prepare test suite name. We're just going to put it into general allocation. I'll show you that in a bit. Do we want to prepare the test environment? No, because you can run pre-data steps if you want to set environments up, and we're going to run it on big one, which is this machine here. We're just going to click execute, and that will fire off a job into the back-end engine. So that has completed. We'll just download the results file, have a look at that in a moment. Now what I'm also going to do is just refresh this, and this is going to show me here that we've actually found data for this particular set of tests that we were looking at. And what I can do here is I can actually just look at the results, and what you'll see is that we've allocated this particular person, which is a lead, uniquely to this particular test case. And if you looked at another one, you'd have a different person associated with it. So let's look at the results of that one, and you'll see Mr. Alanis Corwin. Now if we go and look at our Excel spreadsheet that we're going to be using to drive the data, which has now been created automatically for us, you'll see we have all the various different combinations of data that we care about. These are the blends of sales stage, leads, lead types, etc. We've also created unique opportunities. We've also used some of our random data generation functions to create more interesting next steps, and this is in effect the file that's going to be run into the UFT script. So we'll just close that down, and let's go back to UFT, look at the actions. I'm just going to take my weights out, and let's run this. So there it is run, and you can see all the various different iterations that have gone on, which is great. Now what we'll also show you is that in the background, I'll just show you the test data allocation that's going on. So this applies across our testing environment, and what we've got here is for each particular test type. So let's have a look at the test types here. We've auto-populated get opportunity lead, and then we've linked that to a specific test case, which is the test cases that we've just created in Modeler, and each one of those is a different test case. And here you can see the allocated values that we've set up. Now the advantage of this is the next time that if you're looking for a particular test, you can actually go in here and find the appropriate value to validate that the results were correct. Also the next time you run it, we'll actually see if this person is still valid for the criteria that we care about. Now let's go back and look at a different type of modeling. Now in this case I've got a much simpler model. What I want to do here, I'm just going to have a look at the test data I've assigned. So this I've put in prospecting. For this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at the data in the back-end database. So here I'm going to just link to an action which is one from our data catalog, and its lead source is all. Now if we go and look at our data catalog, you will find lead sources all. And let's look at that. We're looking for distinct lead sources in the back-end database where it's not set to null. Now, the advantage of this is if we look at the test cases that we have, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4. But once we actually submit this to create the data, if we go and have a look in the results of the data, what you'll see here is that we've actually looked up the data like so. So you'll end up iterating through and you'll have more rows in the driving sheet, but we've actually looked them up in the back-end database. So to summarize, you import the base data sheet into VIP Test Modeler. You start modeling the subtle variations in data and expected results. You use Test Modeler's advanced test design engine to cover all the data requirements. You link the model data to the data catalog to find matching data and make any missing data. You allocate the test data values to the tests, avoiding clashes. You define your test data journey, ensuring all dependent data matches with your test. So you can save time finding data, standardize and reuse your data find queries. You can stabilize your automation frameworks, find out what data is missing before you test, integrate the data find make into your DevOps world, improve integration testing by finding, making and creating virtualized assets for cross-system data. You can make data quickly if you can't find it. You can also test rarer combinations of data, and your testing is only as good as your test data. Thank you very much.